Good day all. Welcome to our final lesson in solving linear equations. This one we're going to be solving equations with x in the denominator. As usual, our definition of solve is find all values of x that make the equation true. Okay, let's have a look at example 1 here. So example 1 wants us to solve these, same as usual. And we've got 6 over x equals 2, but then we also have this little extra thing over here that says x can't equal 0. Well, why can't x be 0? Well, if I had, for example, 6 over 12, if x was 12, that would mean I'd have 6 slices of a 12-slice pizza, which is basically half a pizza. Well, what if I had 6 over 0? That would mean that we'd have 6 slices of a 0-slice pizza. That really doesn't make any sense. How can you have a 0-slice pizza? It has no meaning. Another word for meaning is definition. So basically we say that if x equals 0, this would be undefined. It would have no meaning. So we want to make sure that that doesn't happen by saying that x doesn't equal 0. This is something that you really won't have to worry about until grade 11, but I will be adding it to all of the questions just to make sure that we don't end up with something undefined. Okay. Now we want to think about, we've got an x on the bottom here, which really isn't a good place to have it. We've never seen a question like that before. So how could we get rid of it? Well, if it was x over 6, we'd multiply both sides by 6, because 6 over 6 is 1. So we can do the same thing with x on the bottom. We can multiply both sides by x over 1, which is basically just x, because x divided by x is going to equal 1 because x can't be 0. If it was 0 over 0, that would be undefined, but because x can't be 0, it's going to be 3 over 3, or 2 over 2, or a million over a million, whatever, that's going to give us the same as 1 over 1. So the left side we're going to have 1 times 6, which is just 6, and on the right side we're just going to have 2 times x, which is 2x. And now, this is like one of the easy questions we did on the first day. We just want to divide both sides by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So we end up with 1 times x, which is just x. Okay, let's make sure that that worked. Let's do our check. We're going to write things exactly the same as the original, but instead of x, I'm going to put a 3 in brackets. Okay, we can either think about this as 6 divided by 3 is 2, or think about it as a fraction, 6 over 3, which we could reduce to 2 over 1, which is also 2. Either way, we end up with 2 equals 2, which is true. So when x equals 3, our equation is true, which means that x equals 3 is the solution to this original equation. Okay, let's have a look at b. Pretty much the same thing. We've got a y on the bottom. So if I multiply both sides by y over 1, that will get rid of that y on the bottom there. So we've got y times 5 is 5y. Remember, we never write y5. We always write the number first. And over here we've got y over y is the same as 1 over 1 because y can't be 0. So we've got 1 times negative 10 is just negative 10. Divide both sides by 5. We get y equals negative 2. Okay, and again, let's do our check. 5 equals negative 10 over negative 2. The left side stays as 5, and the right side, we've got negative 10 divided by negative 2 is positive 5. So when y equals negative 2, our equation is true. So y equals negative 2 is a solution. Okay, C. Okay, C, there's a couple things we can do to start here. I recommend always multiplying both sides by x to get rid of the x's on the bottom. So I'm going to multiply both sides by x over 1. We could have dealt with the 4 and the 5 first, but I think for most people they like it to get it looking like something we've seen before. And then we can move on. Okay, so we've got x times 5. It's going to be 5x. We've got x times 3 over x. Well, the x over x is going to equal 1. So we're just left with 3 here. And on the other side, we've got 4x. 4 times x is 4x. Okay, now we want to get the x's on the side with the greater number of x's, which is this side, so we want to get rid of this. So we'll subtract 4x from both sides. 5x minus 4x is x. The 3 is still there. And now sometimes people get confused here. They think there's nothing on the right-hand side, which isn't entirely true. 4x minus 4x equals 0. Okay, and now we need to do one more step to get the x by itself. I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides, because 3 minus 3 is 0, so I'm left with just x over here, and 0 minus 3 is negative 3. Okay, let's make sure that worked. Put it into the original, exactly the same, but instead of x, I'm going to put a negative 3 in brackets. Order of operations, BEDMAS says I should do 3 divided by negative 3 first. That's going to be negative 1. So I've got 5 plus negative 1 equals 4. And the left side, 5 plus negative 1, simplifies to 4. So I end up with 4 equals 4. Okay, and one more, D. Again, I want to multiply both sides by p over 1. That's going to make it look like something we've seen before. So p times 2 is 2p. P over 1 times negative 3 over p. Well, the p over p is going to equal 1 again, so we're left with just 3. P over 1 times 5 over p. Again, the p over p is 1, so that's just 5. And then we've got 4 times p is 4p. Okay, we want to get the p's on the side with the greater number of p's. In this case, it's that side. So we're going to subtract 2p from both sides. 2p minus 2p is 0. 0 minus 3 is negative 3. We've got a 5 there. 4p minus 2p is 2p. Okay, now we're going to subtract 5 from both sides. Negative 3 minus 5 is negative 8. 5 minus 5 is 0. And we've got 2p there. Okay, one more step. Divide both sides by 2. Negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. 2 divided by 2 is 1, so we've got 1 times p, or just p. Okay, let's do our check. Write it exactly the same as the original, except for we're going to put a negative 4 in brackets instead of the p. There we go. Notice we're subtracting a negative here, so I can rewrite that as 2 plus 3/4, and I'm going to write 2 as 2 over 1, because I'm going to have to be adding some fractions here. And we'll basically have the same thing over here. I'm going to move the negative to the top, because it's the same thing and it's easier to think about. And again, I'm going to do 4 over 1, so everything's a fraction. Okay, both sides we're going to want common denominators of 4 to make all of this work. 2 over 1 is the same as 8 over 4. And 4 over 1 is the same as 16 over 4. Okay, now we've got common denominators, so I can just add up the number of slices on top. Here I've got 8 slices and 3 slices. There's 11 slices of 4-slice pizza. And on the other side, I have 16 slices. I owe 5 slices. After I pay off my pizza debt, I'll be left with 11 slices of 4-slice pizza. So we've got 11 over 4 equals 11 over 4, which is true. Okay, that's it for solving equations. Enjoy.